Have you ever wondered what was the bloodiest battle fought on English medieval soil? Well, I'm going to tell you. The Battle of Towton! But some context first. It is about 6 years into the Wars of the Roses, and the Yorkist leader, Richard Plantagenet, Duke of York, has been executed. And the Lancastrian Queen, Margaret of Anjou, she is crowing her success. However, the Yorkists have a new hope and leader in the shape of Richard's eldest son, Edward. Now, before this battle, he'd just won a victory at Mortimer's Cross. However, his forces had also suffered a defeat at St. Albans under the leadership of Lord Warwick, Richard Neville. So he was not without his setbacks. However, because Henry VI, Queen Margaret's forces had been committing atrocities in the south, they had fled north, because they had kind of worn out their welcome. Because they had fled the south, this meant that Edward could go there and have himself crowned king. Edward IV of England. However, two kings cannot wear one crown, and the decisive battle was about to begin. Edward gathers his forces and marches north. However, the Queen and her cronies, namely Somerset, had gathered a large army. We don't know the exact numbers because chroniclers lie, but it was estimated to be larger than Edward's. But after a couple of skirmishes at a bridge near Pontefract Castle, the Yorkists had caught up to the Lancastrians at Towton. And like a film, as the first few snowflakes of a mighty snowstorm began to fall, the battle began. Now, the Lancastrians had taken a very advantageous position on the hill. They had the high ground. However, Warwick's forces had joined Edward, so Edward wouldn't be fighting alone. Edward, fighting with his men, took the left flank, Warwick the right, while Fauconberg took the centre. Now, the Lancastrians may have the advantage on the hill, but Somerset is unwilling to give it up. He's also got a trap set for them for later, in the form of some cheeky cavalry. So Fauconberg makes his move. He takes 10,000 archers up to the centre. Yes, I know they're not archers, I can't find mine. And he begins firing on the Lancastrian forces. Now, the Lancasters are trying to fire back, but the wind is blowing north into their faces, giving the York arrows extra range and stopping the Lancaster arrows from meeting their mark. So these arrows are just landing straight in front of the Yorks, who are picking them up and firing them right back. In the face of this humiliation, Somerset gives up his advantage and marches down to meet the Yorks. And that's when the melee in the centre of the field begins. However, it's at this moment that the Lancasters spring their trap. Their cavalry smashes into Edward's left flank. And we are talking absolute carnage. It's so bad, Edward himself has to go and shore up the defence. At the same time, the Lancastrians start pushing. All hope looks lost until a horn is heard from the east. The cavalry of Lord Norfolk has arrived to save the day. And like the Ride of the Rohirrim, they smash into the Lancastrian forces. Roll them up like a carpet. The Lancasters break and start routing the field. It is an absolute York victory, but thousands are left dead in its wake.